Hey everyone, welcome back to Global Rights Zone. Today we're diving into a crucial topic that's impacting communities across the globe: climate change and environmental justice. Now, we all know that climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time. But today, we're going to explore how climate change isn't just an environmental issue. It's also a social issue that disproportionately affects marginalized communities. Let's get into it.
Check one, check two, check.
Let's start with the basics. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature, weather patterns, and environmental conditions caused by human activity, mainly the burning of fossil fuels. This leads to rising temperatures, more intense storms, sea level rise, and other extreme weather events. But what does all of this mean for us? Now, you may have heard the term environmental justice. So what does that really mean? Environmental justice is about ensuring that no group of people, especially low-income communities and communities of color, bear a disproportionate share of the environmental harms caused by pollution, climate change, and other environmental issues. When we talk about climate change, we have to consider how it impacts vulnerable communities differently. These communities often live in areas that are more prone to natural disasters like hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. They also tend to have fewer resources to prepare for or recover from these events. And it's not just the physical impacts. There are economic and health impacts as well. Studies show that people in low-income communities are more likely to live near pollution sources like factories, highways, and waste sites, which can lead to higher rates of asthma, heart disease, and other health problems. There are some key examples that highlight the intersection of climate change and environmental justice. One of the most well-known is the situation in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Many Black and low-income communities were the hardest hit, not only by the hurricane itself, but also by the lack of timely recovery efforts and systemic racism in rebuilding the city. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There are solutions and actions we can take to combat both climate change and environmental injustice. Governments, organizations, and communities are fighting back in powerful ways. The first step is to recognize that climate change is a justice issue. Everyone deserves clean air, water, and the opportunity to live in a safe, healthy environment. We can also advocate for policy changes that address both environmental and social issues, such as pushing for green jobs in low-income communities, investing in renewable energy, supporting the voices of frontline communities. Global food production will be significantly affected by climate change. Changes in temperature, water availability, and extreme weather events are already threatening crop yields and food security worldwide. Arctic is warming at least twice as fast as the global average. This phenomenon is called Arctic amplification, and it's causing ice to melt rapidly, which contributes to rising sea levels. Coral reefs are dying at an alarming rate. Rising ocean temperatures and acidification caused by increased carbon dioxide are putting stress on coral ecosystems, which are vital to marine biodiversity. Climate change action requires strong international cooperation, but political differences, economic interests, and short-term thinking often hinder meaningful progress. Developing nations, which contribute the least to global emissions, are often the most vulnerable to climate change impacts. Addressing climate change should include fair support for these nations. Activism and movements, like Fridays for Future and Extinction Rebellion, have brought attention to the urgency of climate action, particularly among younger generations. The role of individuals, such as reducing waste, adopting sustainable practices, and supporting green policies, is also an important aspect of tackling the crisis. Did you know that climate change could make hurricanes more intense? Warmer oceans fuel more powerful storms, which can cause greater destruction and lead to more extreme weather events. So there you have it, a brief look at the intersection of climate change and environmental justice. It's clear that the fight for a sustainable planet is tied to the fight for justice. We all have a role to play, whether it's advocating for policy changes, reducing our carbon footprint, or supporting environmental justice movements. We can make a difference. Let me know in the comments. How do you think we can build a more just and sustainable future? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions on important topics. Let's keep this conversation going.